My name's Zarino. Hello. I am a designer at a company called My Society. Thank you very much for inviting me. My Society, hands up, anybody who's actually heard of this company? Wow, crikey, that's more than we normally get. You might recognize us when I mention some of the sites we make. So we make things like They Work For You, which lets you monitor what your MP is saying in Parliament. And it was one of our first sites and the first site in the world that did anything like that. We make things like Fix My Street that let you report issues, potholes, things like that in your community. We make things like Write to Them, which makes it really easy to write to your local councillor or whatever without having to look up their contact details. We make all sorts of things for the civic good. And the idea is that we help people influence the people in power around them. So that is, all of our products have that in mind. And when I was talking to Nicola about what she's planning today, it seemed pretty obvious that there is a lot of scope in the healthcare sector for doing stuff like what My Society does, but in healthcare. And there's lots of space for people to be empowered and lots of space for people to demand better healthcare from public and private providers. So I'm going to look at Fix My Street, which is one site we run. And I'm going to look at two particular aspects of design that you might want to keep in mind during today. I'm going to turn you all into designers because it's the best profession in the world, obviously. And there's two things I want you to sort of pick up from this presentation. And one is that you can design products, and you should really, design products around people. And the other is that you can, and probably should, design around self-interest, because we are all animals underneath all these clothes, and we are really only interested in ourselves. And the best designs capitalize on that. So, first of all, designing products around people. I'm actually going to try using the clicker. I wonder how this works. Whoa. That's the heater, everybody. Don't get scared. Okay. My school used to have these gigantic heaters above, and they used to click and roar, and we always thought they were going to fall off the ceiling. That was like... Anyway, so designing products around people. So actually, funnily enough, earlier today, I was talking to some people over there about technology, especially in the healthcare sector. There's this assumption that technology just has to be really complicated and really hard, right? Because these gigantic corporations like Capita get brought in to implement these huge solutions, and unsurprisingly, often people don't like them. So there's examples like this that you'll see on computer screens all over hospitals and GP surgeries and whatever. This is a pharmacology program, which I know nothing about, and there is no way I'm ever going to understand this product. Anyway, so we all know that's sort of a problem, and I want to ask you guys to help me out here, right? So I'm going to assign you a design exercise because you're not going to get away for the next 10 minutes without actually participating. And I want to design a product that lets people report problems in their local area. What sort of stuff, shout it out, what sort of stuff are you going to need to ask of those people?
Where they're based.
Where they're based. Good one. What else? What the problem is. So you might want like a description. Speaking as a designer, I know that it's quite awkward having a really long bit of text, so you might want a title as well, like a little short title, so you can put them on a map and stuff like that. So we've probably got a description where the problem is, a title. You might have what?
Where they're based, but that might not be where the problem is.
Right, so there's where the person's based, where the problem is. True. Anything else? A camera, a photo. Photos are brilliant, and especially when it's something like an overgrown hedgerow or something that's getting in the way of the road, you can point it out to people. Anything else? Who are they reporting it to?
Have they reported it before?
Interesting, or has anybody else reported it before?
How long the problem has existed?
That's if they know that, but good. What, anything else? We might want to know some stuff about them, right? Hey? How long it's going to take to fix it. Yeah, I wish we all knew that when we report the issues on Fix My Street. We might want to know stuff about them, like their name. You might want to keep them up to date on when it gets fixed. So you might want like their contact details or their email address. And some sites might say, well, we're asking for their name and email, so we may as well ask them for a password, and we can create like an account for them so they can log in and see all their stuff, right? So anyway, we've come up with a ton of stuff, and it sort of looks a bit like that. Those were some that I came up with off the top of my head. And there's loads of products out there that actually do this, right? There's one that we came across at My Society. We didn't make this. It's called Fix My Nigeria. Note, Fix My Street, Fix My whatever. And they let you report problems in Nigeria, in your community, which is really cool, right? So you come to a site like this somehow, and you go, yeah, create an account, get started. Awesome, I'll click that. And you're, okay. I sort of want to report my problem, but I guess I'm an individual. And then you get to a page like this. Now, the text's quite small, so I apologize for that. But it starts with nickname. And I have to pick a nickname. And then I have to pick an email, 2 passwords. I have to fill in my first and second name, my sex, my date of birth, my full address. And then later on, you can't see this further down. This is only half of the form that I'm filling in. I fill in various other personal details. And then they send me an email confirmation, and I get to actually submit my problem. And that was a form just as long as this. So I don't want to take the piss out of them too much, because they are doing a good thing. But it's a sort of example of when you can come to a problem and start thinking of all this amazing stuff you could build, but you've lost track of what the original problem was. And design is often about removing until there's something there that doesn't make sense, and you just add that little bit back in. And then that's it. That's perfect, right? That is the old school method of design. So our problem was that we want to let people report issues. And we came up with all of these as things we could ask them. But if there was only one thing we could ask them that would potentially, even just alone, that one piece of information would help us get this problem fixed, which one piece might that be? The location. So My Society, when we created Fix My Street, I don't know, it was like 10 years ago or something, we sort of based it on that. And the first interaction you have is by telling us where the problem is. So lots of things around that search box on the homepage have changed over the years, but the search box hasn't. And lots of our sites have this. We ask either where do you live, or where's the problem, and we ask for a postcode or an address, because everybody knows that. And as a place to start with, everybody can fill that in, and without knowing it, they're on to the next page, which gives them instant gratification. There's a map, and they're already like halfway along the process. And we're playing into the fact that this person really wants to report a problem. They don't want to create an account. They don't want to think about passwords. They don't want to set up recurring monthly reminders. They just want to report this problem that is causing them pain. So asking where it is a really good way to get them started on it. Fix My Street, in case you don't know, also then forwards those reports on to the council. And the council loves it because it cuts down on duplicates. So by asking where your problem is first, without asking you anything about the problem, you show them a map, and they can see all the problems that are nearby. And often, people will note, look, a pothole has already been reported where I was about to report it. I'll just comment on that, or I'll leave it. And the commenting on I'll come back to, is a good way to build momentum behind something. But the council loves it because we've cut down on duplicates, and we love it because as the middleman, we have basically zero support. It is so simple. You could put a child in front of this screen, and they will know how to report an issue. And we don't want to patronize people, but we're often really, really distracted. We've got loads of things happening, and so you want to make the process, if you're asking somebody for something, you want to make it as simple as possible. So anyway, that was how we build products like Fix My Street around people. I want to quickly touch on self-interest, as I mentioned earlier. So there are loads of campaigning websites. You might recognize that one and that one, which I never knew. I always wondered why 38 degrees, and I thought it was like degrees centigrade or Fahrenheit or something, but it's actually the angle at which snowflakes come together to form an avalanche. How sweet is that? The problem is that not every issue is actually that glamorous. So you've got big issues like saving the BBC, the very core of Britishness. You've got like gigantic trade deals that are being brokered. You've got save the animals. You've got climate change. But often the problems that people really have are really unglamorous, right? There's a pothole on my street, I drive over it every single day. I know every time I drive over it, I'm making it worse, and it's going to cause a problem for somebody, if not me, somebody else who drives over it. But Fix My Street realized that you don't have to get a huge number of people behind a single issue to get it fixed. So you can let people report these tiny issues that only they experience, and over time, you build a community around those issues. So there are millions of potholes in the UK right now, and maybe each one only gets reported by one person who's really annoyed by it, but then everybody starts getting used to reporting potholes and expecting them to be fixed. And building a community around people who are really only interested in the problem that fixes them is something we often capitalize on at My Society. So while people like you are awesome and want to help other people who are near you or in similar situations or whatever, your constituents or your customers, lots of people, the easiest way to get them to act is to let them solve a problem that affects only them. And this was a quote about They Work For You. We get loads of quotes similar to this where basically constituents and the people in power are being held to account, not by some gigantic nationwide campaign, but by people questioning about a specific issue or a specific problem that affects them, and eventually that causes change. One way of encouraging people to do this is to show social proof. So further down on the Fix My Street homepage, we show things like that, which are the figures as to how many things were reported and how many were fixed, to show that people are using this site and people are getting their problems fixed through it. And it makes people more likely to use it. That's like a really simple way of encouraging people to use your product. There you go, you get that for free. And feedback works both ways too, right? So we had a piece of software called Fix My Street. People were telling us, this is awesome, but I often get problems like there's a bus with a leaky window that I travel in every day, or there's bus stops that are broken, or this train is always late, or there's really unhelpful staff in this tickets office, or something like that. So we took that feedback on board, and we ended up making a site called Fix My Transport that lets people report that. And so listening to your users is really important, because users' behavior will change. They got used to Fix My Street, and they started expecting it in other parts of their life, right? And so we made it for transport. You guys today could end up making it for healthcare. So you want to have some sort of feedback loop in your product so you can listen to people, because design is only the beginning, right? And your product should evolve as people's expectations change. Anyway, I've already gone way over time, and I can see Nicola sweating at the front. and shivering. But thank you very much. I wish you all the best of luck today. You should have an awesome day. Yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.